Welcome to Unheard Stories. Today, we delve into the life of Matt, a devoted husband whose world crumbled when he accidentally overheard his wife, Jess, sharing wild stories of her infidelity. What began as a perfect marriage turned into a web of lies and deceit. But Matt didn't just stand by. He decided to fight back, and his revenge left everyone stunned. Jess was beautiful, charming, and admired by many. Matt thought he had the perfect partner, someone who shared his dreams and values. They had built a life together over decades, traveling, raising a family, and supporting each other through the highs and lows. But all that changed in a single moment when Matt discovered Jess's shocking secrets. Before we dive in, tell us, where are you watching from? Drop a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this incredible tale of betrayal and redemption. Matt and Jess's story seemed like the kind of marriage people admired. They met during their college years, introduced by a mutual friend at a party. Jess was magnetic, with her tall stature, long blonde hair, and captivating smile that lit up the room. Matt was drawn to her instantly, and to his surprise, she reciprocated. Their whirlwind romance blossomed, leading to a grand church wedding attended by family and friends. The early years of their marriage were filled with joy and adventure. They traveled extensively, immersing themselves in new cultures and building memories together. Their honeymoon in Hawaii was the epitome of bliss, filled with long walks on azure beaches and days spent under the sun. Matt often marveled at his luck in marrying such a stunning woman who, in his eyes, could have been a model if she chose to be. As the years went by, they worked hard to build a stable and fulfilling life. They bought their first apartment after a decade of marriage and, later, purchased another for their adult son, Noah, when he was about to graduate college and move in with his fiancée. Their shared accomplishments seemed to reflect a strong, loving bond. Despite being 49, Jess maintained her striking looks, which turned heads wherever she went. Matt was never jealous. In fact, he found it amusing. Jess had always brushed off advances from strangers, leaving Matt with no reason to doubt her loyalty. Or so he thought. Jess had a warm and approachable personality that drew people to her, but Matt sometimes wondered if her charm masked deeper insecurities. She often enjoyed being the center of attention, a trait that Matt attributed to her social nature. For Matt, life was about providing for his family and cherishing the quiet moments they shared. He never imagined that the foundation of their seemingly perfect life was a fragile facade. Their life routines were comfortable and predictable. Jess managed her social calendar with enthusiasm, often meeting friends for lunch or shopping. Matt, on the other hand, preferred quiet evenings at home, enjoying books or catching up on work. They had grown into their respective roles, balancing independence with togetherness, or so Matt believed. But behind Jess's radiant smile and busy schedule lay a secret life Matt could never have anticipated. What he thought was a solid, loving relationship was, in reality, riddled with deceit. The truth began unraveling one fateful day at a grocery store, where an overheard conversation would shatter Matt's trust and change their lives forever. It was an ordinary day when Matt's world came crashing down. Jess had asked him to set the table for a small gathering with an old friend she hadn't seen in years. She explained that her friend, visiting from Alaska, wanted to catch up in the privacy of their home rather than a cafe. Matt thought nothing of it as he trusted Jess completely. After all, they had shared friends over the years and often entertained them without any issue. Jess left to pick up her friend from the airport, and Matt decided to head out for a walk to give them space. He made a quick stop at the local grocery store to pick up some essentials for the evening. As he wandered through the aisles, his phone buzzed. It was a call from Jess. Assuming it was a routine check-in, Matt answered but quickly realized she hadn't intended to call him. First, Matt was confused. He could hear Jess's voice faintly in the background, talking to someone. Curiosity got the better of him, and he pressed the phone closer to his ear. What he heard froze him in place, standing by the dairy aisle, unable to move. Jess and her friend were talking, laughing even, but the topic of their conversation left Matt in disbelief. Jess's friend spoke first, lamenting about how she hadn't been intimate with her husband in years and had started an affair with a coworker. Jess's response was chilling. Instead of shock or disapproval, she offered sympathy and encouragement. "I get it," Jess said. "I've been in similar situations myself." Matt's heart raced as Jess continued to share intimate details about her own affairs, her voice calm and unapologetic. She spoke about 4 different men she had been involved with during their marriage, recounting each affair with startling clarity. She even joked about how she had managed to keep everything hidden from Matt for so long. "Matt's a good man," she said at one point, "but let's be honest, he's oblivious. It's almost too easy." Her friend laughed, but Matt stood frozen, his world crumbling around him. One story in particular made his blood run cold. Jess described a fling she had with a man 10 years her junior, a few years after their wedding. She explained how she had proposed they book a hotel during a date, knowing full well the man was engaged to his pregnant fiancée. The casual way she recounted these events left Matt speechless. He quickly pressed the record button on his phone, knowing he needed evidence of what he was hearing. For the next hour, Matt listened in stunned silence as Jess detailed her affairs. From a brief fling with a foreigner during a trip to France to a years-long relationship with a coworker, her stories were filled with precise details that made Matt's stomach churn. When the call ended, Matt remained in the grocery store, his mind racing. He couldn't believe the woman he had loved for nearly 3 decades had been living a double life. He returned home that evening, his heart heavy with anger and sadness. Jess, oblivious to what he had overheard, was cleaning up in the kitchen, acting as though everything was normal. That night, Matt couldn't bring himself to confront her. Instead, he sat in the kitchen, replaying the recording over and over, trying to make sense of what he had just learned. He knew one thing for certain: his marriage would never be the same again. Matt spent the night replaying Jess's words in his mind, the betrayal cutting deeper each time he thought about it. How could she have done this? How could she recount years of infidelity with such casual indifference? He sat at the kitchen table, staring blankly at the darkness outside, unable to bring himself to sleep in the same bed with her. By 3 a.m., he couldn't hold back any longer. Fueled by a mixture of anger, pain, and disbelief, he walked to their bedroom, switched on the light, and woke Jess. She stirred groggily, rubbing her eyes. "Matt, what's going on?" she asked, her voice laced with confusion. Matt didn't answer immediately. He stood there, his fists clenched, before finally saying, "I know, Jess. I know about them. All of them." Jess blinked, still not fully comprehending. "What are you talking about?" she asked, but her expression shifted quickly as Matt began to recount, one by one, the details of her affairs, the coworker, the man in France, the younger guy. He didn't stop, delivering each revelation with precision, just as she had done in her conversation with her friend. Her face drained of color. How do you know this?" she stammered, her voice trembling. Matt held up his phone. "You but dialed me, Jess. I heard everything. I recorded it all. Do you want me to play it back for you?" he said coldly. Jess's eyes widened with a mixture of shock and fear. "Matt, please let me explain," she pleaded, reaching for his hand. But Matt pulled away. "Explain what? That you've been lying to me for years? That you've been with other men while pretending to be my wife? What's there to explain?" Tears streamed down Jess's face as she tried to justify her actions. "I was lonely, Matt. You were always so busy, and I felt neglected. I didn't mean to hurt you. It just happened," she said, her voice breaking, but Matt wasn't swayed. "Don't you dare try to blame this on me," he said sharply. "I worked hard for us, for this family, while you were out destroying everything we built. I trusted you, Jess, and you made a fool out of me." Jess fell to her knees, sobbing uncontrollably. "Please, Matt, give me another chance. I'll change, I swear. I'll do anything to make this right," she begged. But Matt shook his head, his resolve unwavering. "No, Jess, this marriage is over. On Monday, we're filing for divorce. There's no coming back from this." Jess clung to his legs, pleading with him to reconsider, but Matt gently pushed her away. He had made up his mind. The woman he had loved for nearly 3 decades was gone, replaced by someone he no longer recognized. As he left the room, Matt felt a strange mix of relief and heartbreak. He knew the road ahead would be painful, but he also knew it was the only way to reclaim his dignity and rebuild his life. By Monday morning, Matt was ready to take the first step toward reclaiming his life. He contacted a lawyer to initiate the divorce process and handed over the recording as evidence of Jess's infidelity. It wasn't just about ending the marriage. It was about ensuring Jess faced the consequences of her years of betrayal. Jess, on the other hand, was panicking. She tried every tactic she could think of to stop Matt from following through. She pleaded, cried, and even tried to manipulate him with nostalgic reminders of their happy moments. "Think about all the good times, Matt. Don't throw it all away over a few mistakes," she said, her voice trembling with desperation. But Matt was done. "You didn't think about the good times when you were sneaking around with other men," he replied coldly. "This isn't me throwing anything away. This is me taking back what's left of my dignity." As the divorce proceedings began, Jess's facade of remorse started to crack. She became defensive and combative, accusing Matt of being too distant and focused on work, as though that justified her actions. Her lawyer attempted to argue for a favorable settlement, claiming Jess had contributed equally to their shared life. But Matt's lawyer, armed with the prenuptial agreement and the damning recording, dismantled her arguments. The prenuptial agreement clearly stated that in the event of infidelity, the offending party would forfeit significant financial claims. Jess had insisted on the agreement years ago, confident that she'd never be in a position to lose. The courtroom was tense as Matt's lawyer presented the evidence. The recording of Jess's conversation with her friend left little room for doubt. Her casual recounting of her affairs, the detailed descriptions, and her dismissive remarks about Matt painted a clear picture of her infidelity and lack of respect for their marriage. Jess's attempts to justify her behavior only made things worse. "I was just trying to feel alive again," she said at one point, tears streaming down her face. But the judge remained unsympathetic. "Marriage is built on trust," the judge stated firmly. "Your actions have irreparably damaged that trust. This court finds no grounds to contest the divorce." The fallout from the divorce extended beyond the courtroom. When Matt shared the recording with their adult son, Noah, he was devastated. Noah had always admired his parents' seemingly perfect relationship, and learning the truth shattered his image of his mother. He sided with Matt, cutting ties with Jess completely. Jess's isolation deepened as Matt informed their extended family of her actions. While some tried to remain neutral, many sided with Matt, unable to reconcile Jess's behavior with the woman they thought they knew. Despite Jess's desperate attempts to reconcile, Matt remained firm. He sold his share of their remaining property, using the money to buy a small house in the countryside. Surrounded by nature and peace, he began rebuilding his life on his own terms. For Jess, the consequences of her actions were far-reaching. She not only lost her marriage but also her relationship with her son and the respect of their family. In moments of quiet reflection, she admitted to herself that her choices had been driven by selfishness and a deep sense of insecurity. But by then, it was too late to undo the damage. For Matt, the divorce was painful, but it marked the beginning of a new chapter. He was finally free from years of deceit and heartbreak, ready to move forward with his life. With the divorce finalized, Matt felt an immense sense of relief. The weight of years of betrayal and heartbreak was finally lifted. He packed up his belongings, leaving behind the home that had become a reminder of Jess's lies, and moved to a small house on the edge of a tranquil countryside. The quiet surroundings and fresh air felt like a balm for his wounded heart, offering him a clean slate to start anew. For the first time in decades, Matt focused on himself. He threw himself into hobbies he'd once loved but had put aside during his marriage. Photography, hiking, and even learning to play the guitar filled his days with purpose and joy. Every step he took in building this new life felt like reclaiming the parts of himself that had been overshadowed by years of emotional neglect. Noah, his son, became a pillar of support. They spent weekends together, strengthening their bond as father and son. Noah's unwavering loyalty gave Matt the confidence to keep moving forward, knowing that he wasn't alone. "You've taught me what it means to stand up for what's right," Noah told him one day, a statement that brought tears to Matt's eyes. Jess, meanwhile, was left to face the consequences of her actions. She had not only lost her husband but also her son and the respect of their family. She lived in regret, replaying the choices that had led to her downfall. The life she had once taken for granted now felt like a distant memory, replaced by loneliness and guilt. In moments of reflection, Matt often thought about the lessons he had learned. He realized that trust is the foundation of any relationship, and without it, even the strongest bonds crumble. Jess's infidelity had shattered his world, but it had also forced him to find strength he never knew he had. Sometimes, the hardest moments in life teach us the most important lessons, Matt said to Noah during one of their conversations. I lost something I thought I couldn't live without, but I gained something even more valuable. Self-respect and the chance to start over. Matt's story isn't just about betrayal. It's about resilience and reclaiming one's dignity. He didn't let Jess's actions define him. Instead, he used them as a catalyst to rebuild his life on his own terms. And now, to all of you watching, what would you do if you were in Matt's shoes? Could you find the strength to walk away and start fresh? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Life doesn't end with betrayal. Sometimes, it begins anew. Matt's journey is proof that even after the darkest storm, there's light waiting to guide you forward. And that's Matt's story, a tale of betrayal, heartbreak, and redemption. It's a reminder that even in the darkest moments, there's always a way to reclaim your dignity and rebuild your life. So, what would you do if you were in Matt's shoes? Would you have the strength to walk away and start over? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this story and want more real-life tales of justice and resilience, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Unheard Stories. Turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes life's biggest challenges lead to the greatest transformations. See you in the next one. Let me know if this works for you or if you'd like any tweaks.